Welcome in, everybody, to episode 127 of the Plastic Posse podcast. We're glad that you're here to join us for another episode talking about scale modeling. Want to get started here and thank our sponsors, of course, Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, AK Interactive, and Micro World Games, as well as Bases by Bill. We also want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters. Really appreciate your support of everything that we do. All right, today we've got most of the crew here. Jensen isn't able to join us, so we'll kind of go around the room, and we are joined by a good friend and a repeat guest here on the posse. Let's start with him from Australia, Sam Dwyer. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Good to see you all. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Sam has been kind enough to join us in the op hours, the wee hours, shall we say. So we really appreciate that. Coming to us from the East Coast, TJ, how you doing this morning?
Oh, not too bad.
Awesome. And in the dark from California with no power, but he still makes it work. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing good. Living the life here with, like you said, no power.
And my man in Colorado, John Benani, after a day away from work where he got some protection and hid out from all of his business contacts. How you doing, JB?
It's great. I'm happy to be here, and this should be a great discussion today.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to talk to you guys. And Sam, we'll talk with him. He's fresh off of a visit to Scale ACT 2025, so we'll get an update on there. But let's start off with Sam and kind of get an update of what everyone's been up to in the last couple weeks or whatever. So, Sam, what you been doing on your bench?
So mostly, I guess, prep for Scale Act. So I took a Wing That Wings Albatross to the show. So the terror of trying to pack that for an 8-hour car drive. Thankfully, no flight for that one. So was able to pack it and get that ready. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And then post show, I've been attempting to build the new AFE Club Australian M113. So that's been a bit of fun. So but as you can see, my bench is quite clear. So the build is done on the 113. So I don't start thinking about paint on that. So that's what I've been working through.
Awesome. Yeah, that 113, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but looks like you've been getting after that one. TJ, what have you been up to?
Well, not a whole lot. I kind of got back to this FM2 Wildcat that I had started working on earlier this year. I got that it's all built up. It's ready for primer. You might even be able to see it behind me there. And then the other thing I started on, I think I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Jackson and I wanted to do we both have the super early Tiger Model Designs M4A1 conversion, and we decided to build them for amps next year. So I got into that and actually pretty much finished building it up yesterday. I got to add some details to it, but yeah, it's just about done. It's pretty cool. The first handful of tanks had the really short 75 millimeter gun on it, and it just looks like super derpy. I was laughing about it with Ken Childress. I'm like, it's trying to be a real tank, but it just can't quite get it. But yeah, it was pretty fun and not bad for
it's doing its best, man. It's doing its best. Come on.
It was cold. Not bad for a resin conversion, truth be told, especially one from Tiger Model Designs. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. JB, what have you been up to?
Finally had a chance to sit at the bench over the last 24 hours, which is nice. As you mentioned, Scott, I was able to disconnect from the world and really work on the new Citroen van from AK. So had the opportunity to prime that and rust painted the, I guess you could say, the base of it. And then yesterday was an exercise of hair chipping and going through the chipping process and making it into a vehicle I found online. There's I think it's pronounced Lanvin. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. It's a French chocolate company. And someone online posted a bunch of photos. They found one in a barn that's really rusted out and deteriorated. And it just has this beautiful patina on it. And all the different panels are a little bit different. So I'm like, that's the one I'll do. And yesterday was able to go and kind of do all the hairspray on it, mask off certain sections. I found an old poster online which had the cursive writing for the French chocolate on the side and then the company logo from the 30s or 40s. And I put that in my Cricut cutter cut some vinyl masks and was able to get that on last night. So I'm really stoked how it came out. I got to detail paint some of the rubber gaskets around the windows and some of the metal parts on it. But overall, it's just a really cool subject, super easy build. It's one of the, like I said, one of AK's brand new kits. So highly recommended there, and just a really fun project. I will say during the hairspray technique, I've struggled in the past with hairspray because you either chip it and it doesn't come off, or it comes off the size of a bed sheet. What I've found, and shout out to Kev Smith, because I was reading one of his articles and he talks about putting it at arm's length away and misting it on. So instead of having it like, the can right next to it, if you mist it on from an arm's length away, like 2 or 3 layers, it is shocking how good that works to get a nice fine patina to replicate that rusty surface. Or I could see it being like, I used it on the Panther for ash effects and burn marks, but a whitewash as well. So if you're looking for that subtle finish, definitely arm's length away. Don't blast it on, but mist it on. It's just a way I think that, the liquid droplets form, and it doesn't create that shell where if you blast it on, it creates that shininess. It's almost like a satin, and you can see the little specks of hairspray in a way on it. I know I'm having a tough time describing something visual on an audio podcast, but do arm length away, mist it on, let it dry. And it should always look kind of dry. You should never let it get like sopping wet.
Awesome.
I think that's where I've been going wrong, man. I just blaze away with it. I think that's my problem. So,
yeah,
thanks,
I think
Ken.
so. Yeah, I think so too. That's a great tip, and I'll have to get a link from you on that, JB. So I have been doing kind of had head down working on a presentation we gave this week on AI that I led and everything. But when I've been at the bench, I've been doing some repairs. Peter Podlosky sent me his 32nd scale Spitfire that he took to SMC, and that arrived in pretty good shape as far as the airframe goes. But there's some damage in the cockpit, so I've been kind of gently working on that, doing some repairs there. And then I got out, I have a Spitfire 48 scale Mark I, the new kit. It's a really beautiful kit, and I got it all put together, but there's a ghost seam on the nose and then one little ghost seam on the spine. And so I've been kind of addressing those things. And then we'll talk a little bit later about it, kind of in that I get in this little black hole in between big projects where you know what you're doing and you do it and you do it and you do it. And then when that's done, but it's time to move on, and you sort of start treading water and trying to figure out, I've got 163 things here on the bench. Which one is gonna be next? So I've been doing that. Anyway, Grant, what about you? What you been up to?
Like the rest, and not too much. I picked up a Calvin Tan's paint set, figure flesh set. So I've been kind of playing with that with his new method. They have a write up in the box set about how to do it. It's really interesting. It takes a little bit of time to get into it to get the what you're looking for, but actually really surprised. Pretty easy, a lot easier than I thought. Getting the tones in and everything like that. So I think it's a definite. I think people will enjoy it if they get the set. They definitely will. I think they'll learn a lot. They might not follow it 100%, but that's okay. But that's a good set. Good set. Other than that, I've kind of in that hole, like Scott just mentioned. So I've been working on fixing up a few odds and ends of mine here and there. I did a quick video for the podcast for the F-14, but the kit, along with a Bradley for our buddy, got stuck in the mail with the close down of the government. So it's been sitting in Los Angeles customs area for about 5 days now. So I'm still waiting to get that out to him. So hopefully we'll get that out to him, and Peter will get some build-ups on the F-14D for us. But that's about it.
You did pick up a new kit, though, this week.
Oh, yes, I forgot all about that. Yeah, I did. I got the new Bandai and Mandalorian N1. So, and I've been looking at that, taking it apart. It's a nice kit. It really is. It seems to be. I haven't put it together yet, but the metal, the colors on it. Of course, you're gonna have to strip that off if you want, but you don't have to. But it's really a nice kit. The detail in it, the ease of the build, it's going to be a nice kit. People really, really, really enjoy that. Thanks to Burbank House of Hobbies for that. They seem to have been one of the first shops out here to get that, and I was able to pick up one really quick because I was on their waiting list. So that was, and I actually picked up that in the new Wave Machining Krieger Gooker came out, and I got that also. So that was in a box set for those two. So yeah, I did get a couple kits.
The Machine and Krieger what?
TJ, help me. Is it Gooker or Gooker? Or...
I don't know how. I've always just said Gucker, but I don't know if
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
you
it's Gucker,
pronounce it.
Gooker. It's a SAF suit.
I was just wondering if you were like clearing your throat, or if that was actually what it was called, or
no,
Yeah,
I've never really. That's a kit I don't know how to pronounce. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great little kit. It's a good kit.
Good. All right. Well, appreciate the update from everybody. Let's turn all the bright lights on our guest, Sam, who has joined us today. It's been a while since we've had a chance to, kind of all sit down and talk. So tell us about SD Scale Models on YouTube. How's that channel going? Are you having a good time with it?
Well, the PR version it's fantastic, and it's all guns blazing and full steam ahead. But the non-PR version is that it's a real challenge. It's a real challenge. So it's certainly fun, and it's interesting, and the feedback's been really, really great. And I won't rely on that. My many Patreons have asked me this or whatever, but because I don't have a Patreon, but it's a challenge to I guess find the time to follow through on projects. As you can see in my background, I'm a terrible follow through. A giant pile of unfinished kits. But I guess doing the channel, it does sort of force the discipline to follow through and finish a project, which is great. So and look, I'm pretty quick at turning things around, which is awesome. So yeah, look, it's been an adventure. It really has. I find myself filming too much. So so I haven't quite worked out that sweet spot of what do you film and what do you not film. So I've filled hard drives already. It's kind of out of control.
I've noticed it's growing, though. I mean, you're up over 2,000 subs already, and some of your videos are over 10K. I mean, it just seems like since you dropped it, it's just been climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah, it's really it's gratifying that people do find them interesting and do watch them and leave comments and stuff. It's awesome because I don't know. You're stuck in your own head with modeling and stuff, and you think, oh, well, I don't offer anything new, any different alternatives to the some amazing creators that are in the modeling space on YouTube. But look, people are obviously finding something, in it. Even if it's just listening to me bag myself out and make mistakes, that's a thing.
That seems to be a common thing, I mean, it's tough to listen to your own voice, especially starting out. I remember editing our first couple of podcasts, and I was just like, okay, I'm editing. I'm going to edit all of me out completely, and it'll just be the other guys. That's kind of what you want to do. But John, let's go over to you for a second. So does TJ or does Sam have the biggest Shelf of Doom project queue?
I think Sam has the biggest. I'll call it the shelf of opportunity because there's so much. There's so many. I mean, gosh, and Sam's kits aren't just out of the box slammers. I think they're all tricked out in the latest Gucci aftermarket there is. I can see the shelf behind him. But I guess going back real quick, I'd be curious to learn from a YouTube perspective. Since starting the channel, what has been the most difficult thing creating content for it?
I think, is just, I guess, finding the path forward to and not getting bogged down and sort of, as you mentioned, my builds, I kind of tend to add lots of stuff or change or do lots of stuff to them. And I don't know at this stage of YouTube that I want to, do all of that on film necessarily. I've stuck to new kits. So I've done the new Tommy H39 and the Jackson and the Kotare K4 as my build so far. I've sort of, they're new and they're topical. So I was like, well, let's lead with that, and maybe further down the line, I might do some detailing videos or something like that. But just, I guess finding content that is a bit relevant and fresh. And I guess the other part to that is length of video. So I consume personally a lot of YouTube. I love YouTube. I probably watch more YouTube than regular TV. And I really like long form videos on YouTube. But looking at the stats, because, there's lots of stats that come with YouTube, 6 or 7 minutes average view time. So, and that's across, 10,000 views or per video kind of thing or whatever. And so people are just tuning out. So it's sort of trying to find that balance of what are they why are they tuning out? Maybe I should do the short form. So it's a bit of a juggle.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to your channel, it's important to find what you think, right? I mean, you
Mm,
can be driven by the algorithm, but that also drives you crazy.
yep,
I think
yep.
finding Sam's voice and your way of presenting what you're doing, I think is really
Mm,
what it's all about. We've talked with Martin quite a bit about,
yeah.
night shift and what's too long and should I do one video for an entire project or should I break it up into pieces? And I know he's always kind of chasing, that piece of it. But yeah, I think, finding your voice and how do you feel like that's happening? Like, your videos kind of getting to where you really, really like them.
Mm, yep, yep. No, look, and that's definitely a thing. Is sort of doing it my way, and and I look at other content creators, and they're definitely doing things their way, which is awesome, and that's brings their own personality to stuff, which I think is wonderful. So I think what I can bring and what I'd like to start doing is leaning into my pile of doom, or my shelves of doom, and actually, have that as a bit of a running theme, maybe moving forward at some point, is that as well as new builds, dipping back into some shelf queens and sort of using that as some really great content, and leaning into the painting side because the builds are already done, so they can be single standalone videos of just paint jobs, so maybe that's something I can do. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. So you need an excuse to get some of those things finished.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you're spoiled for choice with the amount of
Yeah.
shelf queens that you could work on. How many do you have? Do you know? Do you have them counted?
I think last count was
Because
over 40.
no one listening to this can see them, but we can all see them, and there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, over 40. So yeah, and look, on top of that, there's a couple of kit boxes where things have started and they can fit back in the kit box. So a few aircraft that are like that, the fuselages can go back in the kit box without too much damage. So it's bad.
Sorry, Sam, what I'm going
No,
back
you're
to is
right.
when we're at Bovington, we're walking around and then we went over to the building that has all the tanks parked, the preservation center or whatever the conservation center. His cabinet behind him kind of looks like that building.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're all
they're
stacked
buttoned
in
up in
next to each
there.
other. Yeah, it's bad, but it's one of those things with the hobby. I've always found that, and either inspiration can get you, and it flows like when you're cutting Christmas wrapping paper and the scissors just slide through it. It's like sometimes a model will be like that, and it just everything flows, and it all works, and it just happens. And then there's the rest of the time where you'll have inspiration and you'll blaze through a build or something like that, and then all of a sudden it just you get the ick and you have to park it. So and I will get back to them at some point. I'm not going to throw them away, but yeah. I've been sort of joking about sending some out to you guys to finish off. Maybe they'll have it one day.
Let's go.
There. So I got a question for you. You're talking about working on your shelf of opportunity. I like that better. When you do that, when you're focusing on doing something like that, do you focus towards armor? Do you focus, is it just at the moment you think, oh, I think I want to do an aircraft? Because you do both very well. I mean, fantastically well. Amazing. But do you just shift back and forth because you feel the whim, or do you have sometimes you do one, then you do the other? Is there a pattern to
Mm,
it?
I'm really, really, really feeling aircraft at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
enjoying it and loving it. All scales, it's just
Mhm.
maybe not 70-second scale. Not I'm not built for 70-second scale. I got sausage fingers. I
No.
just can't
Yeah.
can't do 70-second scale. So yeah, if you ask me to pick up an airbrush and paint something tomorrow, it will be an aircraft
Would it?
at the
Okay.
moment. And
Yeah.
I just find that it flows better at the moment for that. So
Yeah.
and maybe it's a cop-out answer, but I feel like painting is a very perishable skill,
Mm.
and it feels like it for me. And if you ask me to pick up and paint a tank and weather it, I mean, I've forgotten how.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's driving a little bit of the shelf of doom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So you do
but
have I'm sorry to interrupt you, but talking
that's right.
about aircraft, you seem to have you have a huge passion for World War I aircraft.
Yeah.
Is it, where does that come from? Is it just that
Uh,
you've had that your whole life, or has it just been recently?
no, no, no. No. I was definitely actively modelling during the Wing That Wings era when they were releasing
Mm-hmm.
kits, and at the time I remember, I don't want to do that. why would I do that? And 30-second scale, please. And all of a sudden, when they're horrifically expensive,
Yeah.
I decided that I want to do World War One kits. So I've got 4 or 5 now kits, and I built one. Yeah, the hype is real on those. They're fantastic. So no, really, I just always after something new and different. And I don't know how it started. I couldn't tell you how it started, what sparked the interest, but here I am buying Wings kits at double the price or triple the price. So
Yeah.
thankfully, I think the bubbles burst on them, and the prices seem to be coming down.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't surprise me if the molds turned up somewhere and they started getting re-released, to be honest.
Let's hope, because like you said, they're beautiful kits. Definitely worth what they're asking for them.
Sam, going back, I want to talk about the analytics behind YouTube. You mentioned listeners or viewers 6 to 7 minutes. I think it's interesting because you can definitely see if you look across the scale modeling world in YouTube, and I think it's even more present in the miniature painter world. I think of 2 types of channels. I think of one that is truly instructional and one that's honestly just entertaining. And I think like Squidmar videos is a great example. I think it's just entertainment. And you say like consuming YouTube, and I consume those for entertainment. I almost I do consider them a show. It's no different than Dude Perfect, Mr. Beast, Squidmar. Like those are all shows that I look forward to. It's like the weekly drop of Bob's Burgers. I'll sit down, I'll watch it, I'll get a laugh. My wife even watches it. So, but I think what you're hitting on too is like the instructional side of it.
Like the Duncan Rhodes type stuff, where
exactly.
he goes through every brush stroke and talks about every color and that sort of stuff. It's really instructional.
Right. And I can see a world where I love both. And I actually find the one that's more valuable from a technique perspective is exactly what you're talking about. It's like you're seeing the actual brushstroke. You're seeing the actual paint that's being used. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a video or, to be honest, read a modeling article where they're like, oh yeah, I just painted the figure in acrylics. What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. And I think that's where I think, and maybe the discussion we can have transitions from into the world of you've published your work in the past. You have a book, you've had books, you've had articles. Now we're looking into the video genre. And I think that's because I think videos are so much more powerful from an instructional standpoint, and so much is hidden in magazine articles. That said, stuff is hidden in videos as well. So I don't even know where I'm going with this question statement, but do you see yourself? I mean, I see yourself as more on the technique and technical instruction side, but you're a funny guy. I could see you getting into entertainment as well. But as Scott mentioned, do you see yourself maybe going to more shorter videos for specific techniques then?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I've got a bunch of little, shorter ones in my mind as to what I'd like to cover off, and exactly that sort of. Here's a 5 to 10 minute video on, whatever it might be. That sort of stuff, like a real basic thing. And that's sort of what I want to do at some point down the line. So
you have to finish for new video content. You need to finish the Grand Manil Panther, because I feel like I gave you the last piece you needed, which was the little sign. So
the last piece in the puzzle. Thank you. I completely forgot to ask you when you guys were there to snap a photo, and when I asked and you said, here it is, and it's in 4K. It's a huge photo. So yeah, look, one of my shelf queens was the Grand Manil Panther using the Dragon kit. So it's as close to bolt for bolt as I could get it. I've visited it enough times, and it's iconic, for when you're visiting the Ardennes to sort of go to Grand Manil Manhay and visit that tank. So it's for the listeners, I guess, the kit was already built, so it was a shelf queen. I've filmed nearly 2 hours of content, raw, painting it, building the base, and so I just need to knock that over and finish that off. So and then JB taking the photo of the name tag. Now it's just a logistic challenge of getting that shrunk down to 35 scale. So I have to find a photo developer somewhere that can miniaturize that sign. So yeah.
And maybe I missed it. Speaking from a technical perspective for your YouTube, are you just shooting with like your iPhone 17?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So I got some great advice. So my ex boss has done a bit of YouTube work, and he said the best camera you can use is the one you've already got. So don't go too deep investing in camera gear and stuff, because it may be that you hate it and you've burnt all this money buying stuff. So I use the camera for video, and I bought just a really simple overhead mount that sort of bolts to the desk and keeps it nice and bright. And I use some desk lamps which are really nice and bright. So that's 4K 120, which is fantastic. So the video is fine. Audio, I started off a bit wobbly and had a bit of a very cheap mic actually, and then Scott reached out and gave me some fantastic advice around a condenser microphone, which made a massive difference. So thank you, Scott, for that advice. So people came out of the woodwork to let me know that it didn't sound good. But Scott was the only one that came forward with a solution. So yeah, thanks, mate. I really appreciate it.
Well, and for the record, I wasn't being critical. I was just telling
helpful.
Sam, speak up. We want to hear you more. Right?
Changing the filters on the software as well helps hugely.
Yeah. Well, how many Panthers have you built? You probably don't even know the answer to that, but
no, look, it's too many. At least 20. At least 20. There's 6 or 7 on the top shelf built up, finished. And there's 6, 7 on the bottom shelf unfinished. So yeah, that's just out of control. And there's probably 10 more in the cupboard unstarted. So I don't know what it is about Panthers. It's just yeah, they're a good looking thing. They really are.
John has a little bit of that disease too. I'm not sure where you guys caught it, but yeah, for sure.
Well, Sam, or I was going to say, Scott, you're bitten by the bug too. You went through the Ardennes, and you even got a little panther itch that sprouts every once in a while, if not medicated. So don't be hating.
It's not hate. It's not hate. Mine tends to be a little more on the yogged panther, but I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And just the ability to go and visit them and see the real thing in the wild, in the Ardennes, is pretty fantastic. Yeah, very lucky to be able to go and do that.
Yeah, it really is different seeing in the flesh. Watching your friends kind of move around him and getting pictures of details, and it kind of does give you the bug, I think, a little bit more. Wanted to go back to what Grant was talking about though with your albatross. You recently went to Scale ACT 2025, and your albatross it did okay. It did all right.
Possible. It was all right. Yeah, I know we want to touch on that down the track, but it incredibly tough category. And you've all entered masters at SMC kind of thing, so you're aware that it's the real distillation of some amazing work in each category. And yeah, you could have thrown a postage stamp over the models that got gold. They were so close and they were so unbelievably good. And I think the fact that they're able to award X amount of golds in each of those sort of categories is proof that gold, silver, bronze works. Because to have awarded 1, 2, and 3 would have left a significant amount of incredible models unawarded, unrecognised. So it's brilliant. He's got gold, silver, bronze just works so well. So yeah, it was really good, and very lucky to win best aircraft as well. So again, you could have picked 5 that would have been best aircraft, no problem at all. So.
Well, congratulations! A beautiful model, and it's well deserved.
Edit this bit out. It was also runner-up for best of show. So, I'm not necessarily sprouting that, because second comes right after first. But yeah, the chief, the president said, yeah, it was between your aircraft and the thing that won best of show. That was the argument with the judges. So that's pretty cool.
I just want to talk to you about more about your albatross. The paint scheme was beautiful, the white and the red on it. It just kind of made that aircraft stand out. What were some of the issues you had with that kit going into it? I mean, we did talk a little bit about this before, but but I want to know about what did you do? Because what fascinates me most about your videos, to tell you the truth, Sam, is your fixes. For one, when you did the H39 and you fixed the problem you had with the decal and you painted it down and you put another decal over, wonderful. I love that. Your detailing and how you show people how you did it. The Jackson, when you showed them how to cut the front fenders, the mud guards, that was you see it every time, but nobody really does that very often. But it was great to see you show that, and I really do enjoy that. Same with at H39, putting the box on the back, and that was another fantastic thing. It does things like that. So, what did you find with the Albatross? I mean, I know it's a wonderful kit, but I know you had to throw a little Sam magic on it.
Yeah, and so the reputation for those. The reputation for those kits is that they were beautifully engineered, but they didn't allow for paint or glue. And a lot like the Take-On Panthers, actually, is that they're beautifully engineered, but they don't allow for paint and glue. So, and look, that's real with the Wing That Wing stuff. And compounded by the fact that I threw a lot of aftermarket at it. And so every time you do that, it just messes with things a tiny bit. So that was a bit of a challenge. And look, the real challenge, I think, was wood grain. So I chickened out very early on with wood grain. And there's some beautiful decal options in the kit for bare fuselage. So just visible wood grain on the outside. So the inside's fine. It was no problem at all. And we got some great advice from American guy, Patrick Neff, who built incredible biplanes, and so he helped out massively, which was awesome. But yeah, I took the very easy route for the fuselage color and went for the painted version, red and white. So I could have done bare wood and with masked colors and that sort of stuff over the top. But I thought, how do you mask over the top of decals or delicate wood grain texture and not ruin it? So you saw the H39 where I pulled the masks off and then pulled all the and I literally envisaged that happening again with the Albatross. So I thought, no, I'm chickening out and doing the painted fuselage route. So that's why we ended up with the red and white one. So and look, visually it's very, very bright. So I thought, well, that's going to look great on the table as well. So with the lozenge camouflage wings as well, kind of thing. It's a really interesting looking subject and very different. World War II stuff's so drab and dour and stuff, whereas the World War I stuff's just really vibrant. I think that's part of the reason why I'm sort of all of a sudden, looking at World War I stuff is just different and interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely the color, like you said, the colors are definitely different from a different style or a different time, different what it was. And you do bring it out really well. And that red and white, to tell you the truth, it looks beautiful. It does stand out so much, and it makes it look, it just pops it off the table, in my opinion. I did see the pictures. I didn't, I didn't see them personally, but it shows with the amount of fantastic work, like you said before, on the table, that what your aircraft is, and it's just a beautiful piece of art.
Thank you. So, and look, rigging was the first time I'd done rigging, and
that was the first time you've ever done rigging.
Yeah. So the beauty of it is there's so much on the internet, and people come out of the woodwork to want to help and sort of give you tips and that sort of stuff, which is awesome. But it's not made for 52-year-old eyes and 52-year-old hands. So you're upside down with two pairs of tweezers threading microscopic line through microscopic loops and then back through little tiny brass tubing. It's just, and you're sweating, it's like, oh man, and your hands are shaking. And I had glasses and optivisor on to try and see. Yeah. So that was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah, for fear of breaking it, just of ham-fisting it and smashing something. So thankfully, nothing went too wrong. So it was good.
What did you use for the rigging? Are you a stainless steel guy? Are you a easy line guy or thread? Or
yeah. So I kicked off with easy line, but I struggled with without going too deep into it, you glue a tiny loop to the wing, and then you loop the line through that, and then back through a bit of brass tubing, and that's how you sort of tension it against itself, and you get nice taut lines. But the easy line I had was just a little bit too big to get it back through the brass tubing. So I ended up using Infini or 0.68 millimeter, I think it is, so microscopically small rigging lines, and that it's like getting toothpaste back in the tube. You're threading the end back into the brass tube is just it doesn't want to go in. It's just, but anyway, you persevere, sort of thing. So and I found that was much easier to use than the easy line stuff. So I know there's different grades of that. I just had one that was just a touch too thick to fit back in. So Infinity stuff worked really well.
So talking about that model, because we've kind of talked about this before on the podcast, and I think we've talked about it personally. You kind of kept that one really close to the chest and didn't publicize it. What was the reasoning behind that? If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, no. I just, that thing of, keeping your cards close to your chest with stuff. I know it's a double-edged sword. People think, well, your model's not that special, mate. Why are you hiding it? Like it's. I just wanted to just pop something down the table that was hadn't been seen, kind of thing. So which is not really a very good reason. But also, I have a bunch of friends here in Australia that if one of us sees anyone else building something, instantly they start a spite build. So a couple of guys bought KV1s in Canberra. And so everyone else has bought KV1s now to do a spite build of KV1s. And it's not genuine spite. It's just like, well, John's building a KV1. Cool. Let's all build KV1s. So, and flood the table. And it started a couple of years ago at Model Expo where I mentioned innocently that I was building the new Tamiya Jagdpanzer 4 L70. And a couple of friends went, right, we're all building Jagdpanzer 4 L70s. And they all built them and popped them on the table at Expo. I didn't get one finished. So I outspited their spite builds. So yeah. And really, it was just a rush to get it done, and it took lots of desktop photos. And of course, since then, people are like, "Oh, are you going to publish the article?" I'm like, no, it's just a model show build, and wanted to get it done for Canberra. So and just something a bit different and special for Canberra, sort of thing for the comp. I was only taking one model.
Sam is down low savage. I'll show you. Here's my Jagdpanzer 4 L70.
That's sitting over there unfinished still. It's just. That was about 3 or 4 years ago at Model Expo, and yeah, I outspited them. So it's very good-natured spite. It's not genuine spite.
Well played, sir. Well played. Well, let's talk about Scale ACT 25. I know you had just kind of almost got back from there. Talk to us about the show and how it's grown and what this year's version was like.
Yeah, it's really very, very quickly becoming sort of Australia's best show. So, we've got our own show here in Melbourne, Model Expo, which is great. But just the guys who run ACT SMS and Scale Act are really forward thinking and really driving the show forward, which is I'm just a punter. I'm not part of the show at all. I'm just an attendee. And it's just everything works really well. And it's, so it's an 8-hour drive from where I am. And it's in Canberra, which is where our nation's capital is, and it was placed midway between Sydney and Melbourne for a reason, So you get people from Sydney coming down, and people from Melbourne coming up, and so that's what draws people to the show now as well. So you get lots more Sydney-siders than Melbourne people because it's only about 3 hours from Sydney, but. So it's an 8-hour drive, which is fine. No problem at all. Love a good drive. So which means if you drive, you can take lots of models. So last year I took 9, which was kind of overkill. So this year just took 1, and that was just the Albatross. So it's held over the course of the weekend. So they don't do Friday night drop-offs just yet. They might be doing that next year. Hopefully I'm not giving too much away. But Saturday morning, everyone can drop their models off, and the presentation is late on a Sunday. So it's awesome. It's really, really good fun show.
So you've been to this show, IPMS Nats, SMC, obviously, a bunch of other big shows. I'm curious the character of this show when you think about it compared to the US IPMS Nationals, compared to SMC. Like, where does it fit into the character aspect? How would you, I know it's apples to oranges, but just a flavor for what it's like when thinking about those other shows that we've experienced, but we haven't obviously gone to Scale Act.
Yep. What Scale Act's going for it is it's a solid competition. It's really, really great, and every year it seems to be getting better depth wise of quality of work and that sort of stuff, and obviously the way that it's run and the support stuff that they've got in place to make sure the show runs seamlessly, which from an entrant point of view and an attendee point of view, it seems to run completely flawlessly, which is awesome. But look, what Canberra's got going for it is the social side of things, which very much is an SMC thing, and to a certain extent the Nats thing as well, with the stuff that goes on after hours. where everyone seems to stay in Canberra is close to restaurants and bars and that sort of stuff. And everyone stays in the group of hotels that are relatively close. And so there's an awesome social scene after hours. So, after, walking around and around the models and talking about models, people can go out for beers and dinner and talk about models some more. So, and that's great. So you just bump into people, that you've seen at the show after hours with a beer in hand. So, and that really, quite similar in that regards to what SMC and the Nats are like, yeah, which is great.
That's awesome. At the show too, what I love is some people make announcements, and it sounds like Kotare made a splash with their P-47. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Completely out of left field. Yeah, I was not expecting a P-47 at all. I thought maybe they'd stick with German releases and then maybe sort of Brit allied, type stuff. Was not expecting a P-47. Awesome. But then, the Telford announcement of the 109E, really, that's even for me personally, I don't mind a P-47 and I'll get one, but the 109E for Battle of Britain and Africa and that sort of stuff is really appealing. So, they set up their stand at Scale Act, and above their stand was a banner that was covered in black material, and they said just keep an eye out. We don't know, something's going to happen, and then they revealed at some point. So all of a sudden the internet lights up with photos of the banner and their handout cards for the P-47. So yeah, it was cool. They bought a bunch of kits as well, which was terrific. So no one else had any Kotare kits for sale, I don't think, at the show, and they bought cases full of stuff, and they sold every single one. So, which is cool. So, and there was a big buzz at that stand of people talking to Richard and the designers and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was really great, and they had Mark, the owner, asked for my 109 that I've done in the US markings and my Spitfire for display. And so, yeah, my stuff was on display at the table, which was really nice of them to ask. So no one spilt any coffee on my 109 this time, which is great. So it's a win.
That's a bonus, right? What do you think? I mean, obviously these guys have a long track history, but what do you think Atari brings to the table that makes their kits, just like you said, they brought a bunch of stuff and it all sold? What inspires that passion more than anything else? Those guys, you talk to them, you collaborate on designs, obviously they trust you, sending you test shots. What is it that they do differently, Sam?
Yeah, to be honest, there's just something about it. And so look, they've sent me a test shot, so I don't necessarily collaborate that closely with them. And I was very lucky. Mark offered to send me one out, because I never ask. I'm not that guy. So I know people contact them and beg for test shots, and no, that's not me. So I was very lucky to get a 109 test shot, and very grateful, and obviously kicked off my YouTube channel with building it. But I don't know. It's hard to put into words what it is. Like, it's 30-second scale, so it's good size models. The box art are incredible. Just evocative. It's a word people bandy about a little bit, but they're really great box art. And I almost think that like people are buying them up, and I don't want to put a jinx or a hex on anything, but with the Wingnut Wings thing, people collected Wingnut Wings stuff and bought everything. When the times that I've asked to buy stuff from on the various swap and sell pages on Facebook, and people respond with, "Oh, here's my collection. I've got 57 Wingnut Wings kits," kind of thing. And I think maybe people are doing the same thing with the Kotare stuff. They're just buying them while they can see them, while they can get them. So, and there's no indication that they're ever going to be anything other than successful. But yeah, and look, you see quite a few on the table, on the competition tables now as well. There was a half a dozen or so various Kotare kits at Canberra, which was great. So yeah, and they're amazing to build as well. Like they've got that design philosophy where you can't build the kit wrong. It's engineered in such a way that you can't put it together wrong. They're amazing kits.
I definitely feel like they get built more often than Wingnut Wings. I mean, probably because they're not World War I biplanes, and they're
very niche, right?
A little more popular subject. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, I think there was some at SMC. I don't really remember. I'm not a big large scale airplane guy, so I don't tend to gravitate towards that. But I see them on like the internet all the time, like on Facebook, and people building them. So, which is cool because that means that they're going to keep making them if people are buying
That's
them
right.
and building them.
That's right. And what I really like about them is, like, you think about a Hasegawa kit, and if you've ever built a Hasegawa aircraft, they're dolphin smooth. Like the detail on them is dead smooth, and every panel is perfect if you can get them to line up and that sort of stuff. Whereas the two Kotare kits that I've built, 3, but 2 of the same subject, they look like they fit together perfectly, but they look like they were assembled by humans in the aircraft. So the panels are engineered to not quite fit perfectly, and that's perfect. That's the way they want them to go, and they look like they've been put together in a factory in Leeds, or by not necessarily free labor in somewhere in Germany. Like, just they look like they've been put together by humans, and that really appeals to me. I think, and it looks really great in 32 scale as well. So look, the downside is it fills up the cabinet really quickly. So 32 scale aircraft are big. They're big. So.
Yeah.
They're bigger than 48 scale Phantoms, which is my other love. So
yeah, I think you're right there,
but
100%, Sam. I think that the ones there was a couple at SMC that I saw. There was a couple Spitfires actually. You're right though, the way they look like they're actually put together by hand. They don't have that smooth, which is not. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but I think that the way that 1/32 scale looks with that texture and the way they've designed it, and it looks right to me. I'm not an aircraft builder at all. I'm the guy that can take a Kotare kit and make it wrong, and
you find a way.
I can find a way. Trust me, I will. But looking at them, we have a couple guys out here that really like Kotare, and they're beautiful. And the ones I've seen that they built are just, to have the craftsmanship to make it look like it was handmade is unbelievable. That's a skill that is not, you don't find very often.
Yeah, I think a lot of design effort goes into that with them.
Yeah,
they really lean into that.
Yeah, the design, the time they spend on design has got to be probably twice what most manufacturers do, at least twice more than I would say.
Yeah.
Again, to get that look, and so it's really impressive what they do. Going back to the P-47, did they give a release date on that, or an idea, or just the card?
July 2007, 27, I think, is the target date for that. Yeah, so a fair while away still. I think it's only really just begun as a project.
Right, and that's going to be interesting because that's a big aircraft. That's a big boy, a P-47, and it's going to look good. See how they do with that.
Well, it'll be plenty of time to buy another cabinet. I got no room in here, but just
hang it from the roof. There you
go. Relive my childhood and hang it from fishing line from the roof, right?
Fishing line underneath the wingtips.
Well, Sam, I know we've talked about airplanes a lot. Those are all cool. But let's get back to the real subjects here. German armor. What's your next German armor subject?
Good question, man. I can't think of one. I think I will finish the Grominil Panther. I need to resurrect that and get that done. It won't be my next video necessarily. I think the 113 is the next video. But yeah, that's my next armor piece, is the AFE Club M113. So I couldn't tell you what my next German thing's going to be, to be honest.
When I'd be curious to get your feedback, because somebody recently asked me, I think it was in a group chat or something, like what armor kit needs to be produced, and I think there might even been a caveat, like what in German armor hasn't been produced. And as my German armor consigliere, I would pose that question to you, like, what hasn't been made? I feel like everything's been made.
All right, I'm going to go out on a tangent with a German armor piece. Right?
All right, let's get nuts.
Grant will immediately understand what I'm talking about. The German armor piece that I want to see is a Reforger era M2 Bradley.
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
So it's German-ish in Reforger.
Technically.
But an M2 vanilla Bradley is what I want to see. A new tool. Magic Factory, you're listening?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. With that, a vanilla Abrams as well. So an M1 Abrams. They're the two things. I mean, look, I feel like German armor wise, we're really well covered.
We're good.
You put me on the spot, and I can't think of one German armor kit I want
exactly.
to see. A vanilla Abrams and a vanilla Bradley would be that's me, you know. So,
Yeah.
A 105 Abrams M1, maybe a P1 M1 P1 would be fantastic. The bubble sided Bradley, the M2 with the non-fluted gun barrel, with the miles gear. Oh God, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see how I started him.
What?
Kick Grant off, yeah. So,
I mean, on the Bradley, the only thing available is that old Tamiya one, right?
yeah,
That's the only one. And then
it's from 1985 or whatever.
Yeah, it's one of their old ones. And then from a Abrams perspective, I think didn't Panda do one? Didn't they do an A1? Yeah. But it's Panda, so
they did. They did a couple of earlies, that were pretty not a huge leap over the old original Tamiya one.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they came out with them and they've kind of disappeared. I don't even know if they pop them anymore because they were not that great.
Really soft detail, unfortunately, on those.
Yeah.
They're the two kits I probably would like to see, you know, armor wise, sort of sooner rather than later. So, you know, Magic Factory have got. I don't know if I don't even know if that base hull would be usable. It would be. Everything would need to be redone, pretty much. Even the wheels aren't right for the early ones. So. Yeah. Anyway, and then maybe take on Hobbs. Are you listening? You've got access, man. Come on, get on with us.
They're on their Sherman kick right now. I feel right. I mean,
but you know, like 113s, like a decent 113A2. You know, that would be amazing. I know it's not German, although the Germans did use them, but there's a bunch of stuff. So with maybe take on, we'll see it one day, or Andy's might go to 35 scale one day.
I wish someone would do a 577, a good 577. You know, so you don't have the big line down the side of the hull. But sorry, this is Sam's question. Sorry.
Yeah, and look, hey, the one I'm waiting for, Grant, is the M901 ITB.
Yes. Yeah.
I picked up the perfect scale model bow resin conversion cheaply off a friend, and to try and graft onto the AC Club kit, which unfortunately is an A1, and I've subsequently found out that they're only built on A2 hulls. But sorry, no, it's very hyper nerdy. But
I really want a DD Sherman. That's I won't want an injection
in plastic. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
Hobbs, if you're listening, do that. A1, not an A4, an A1.
That would be very cool. Save your money on the ResiCast conversion.
Every time I go to SMC, it looks at me and it says, "Come buy me," and I'm like, "I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for a little bit because as soon as I buy this, somebody's gonna come out with it in plastic."
And look, you know, that's the thing, is that I struggle now to justify buying a big full resin kit, because we'll see it in plastic. Like, just, you know, hold off. We'll see it in plastic at some point.
Where's my 16th scale Hetzer, Hobbs?
and 222 armored car, Hobbs. Come on, 222, 223 armored car, perfect size in 16 scale. Same with the Hetzer, perfect size.
They have one at Fort Benning as well, so it's not like Axis is a problem.
And there's the old Collins Foundation one floating around somewhere as well, which is restored to factory fresh.
Yeah, that's up in Massachusetts, I believe. So yeah, there's definitely sources
doing the school run in Massachusetts.
Yes, and we know Hobbs listens, so we'll have to get him on and grill him. But yeah, 16 scale hats is where it's at.
Bombard him with stuff you want to see, Bill.
Calling him out, Hobbs. The Hobbs. We'll just have a new segment each time. You know, the Hobbs, where's my segment, right?
We'll call it the Hobnob section.
Yeah,
man, Sam, him in a European environment was talk about culture shock for us Americans. Seeing him operate over there. Oh yeah, what a wild child. Loved it. Love you, Hobbs.
I would have loved to have been there. Yeah, the FOMO this year was strong. It was it was strong. Seeing everyone over there having a blast. So
next year you're going, right? You got to go.
Yeah. That's the plan. And ironically, I could have gone this year, but just, you know, events conspired. So
Well, we've had the lights turn pretty bright on you, Sam. So we'll just maybe kind of wrap that up. But we always at least recently we kind of do some discussion points here. So we'll invite you to kind of keep the chair warm here and join in on this segment with us. The discussion point that I kind of have today, I'm going to start by kind of pointing this at John, but I want everybody to kind of give their input on this. And John's been crazy busy and just really struggling to find time at the bench because of jobs, and I know we all kind of get that way. But you've got some specific examples. But how do each one of you find the time to get to the bench when life gets crazy? It seems like, for me anyway, a lot of times when your mojo's at its strongest, you can't get, you physically almost can't get to the bench. You got all these ideas and you want to do it, but life keeps getting in the way. So I'm going to start with JB and let him respond. But yeah, I want to get all of your collective inputs on this as well. So John.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, I think this is a great topic and super relevant, and we mention SMC all the time, but other people have attended countless shows, whether it's Scale Act, MMSI, there's a ton of local shows. Everybody is feeling it right now. The fall season is show season. Everybody becomes inspired. Everybody gets excited. What happens though? You come home and you're just slammed, and it creates a weird anxiety, to be honest. I think for me, the last 2 to 3 weeks have been 80, 100-hour work weeks. They've just been really busy. And I find that I'm always thinking about scale modeling, and it only adds to the pressure and frustration not being able to exercise those desires. And specifically, even if it's just as little as 15 minutes to a half an hour, I think really makes a big difference. And I've tried to do that a little bit, but yesterday I kind of just said, F it, we'll do it live, Bill O'Reilly style, where I got everything I needed to out of the way. And then around 1 or 2 o'clock, I just made a conscious decision where I was like, you know what, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go until I can't anymore. And I probably could have built until 4 in the morning, but work and life will always be there. So I kind of turned off all the distractions, and by turn off, not like literally turn them off, but, put on an Amazon Prime movie. I had GoldenEye on yesterday, for a part. And then I got into a really great movie, The Negotiator, with Sam Jackson and Kevin Spacey. Old 90s movie, really good, but put those things on, kind of zoned out, and just went after it. And then also, I feel like in bits, I also put like lo-fi Japanese coffee shop rain, the most soothing soft tunes and sound of rain there is. And those moments, it does wonders for your mental state. It's no secret with all that work, it's certainly going to create anxiety, sleepless nights, waking up worrying about it's going to get done. But sometimes tuning out is the way to get back in to a comfortable place, and that certainly happened yesterday. I am ecstatic how well this little van turned out. Get a detail painted today with acrylics, and then I think I'm just going to go right into oils. And it's just one of those where it's just like bang, 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 and it's energizing. It's not only very helpful for obviously your hobby and progressing it, but truly for your mental state as well, and giving you a chance to kind of just tune all the stressors of life out. So how do I find time? You just got to make the conscious decision. Will always be there. I guess you just weigh, is it worth it? And a lot of times it is. So I pushed pause on everything else and got after this. I'm hoping to have it finished. Unfortunately, I got to fly to Florida for work. Not unfortunately, I have to go there, but it just takes me away from the bench. But yeah, I hope to get it done before I leave for Pennsylvania for Thanksgiving. But long story short, breaks are super important from life to find yourself again. And this was no exception.
I love that, John, because, we've talked a lot in recent episodes even about sort of work is so stressful, or this is, life is so stressful that it actually saps your mojo. But in this case, you're really using that hobby to kind of fuel your mojo and say, okay, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to turn the phone off. I'm going to make time because I need this. I need this for me. I love that approach. TJ, what about you? I mean, when you've got a pretty stressful job, you've got, some teenage daughters, you've got, life gets crazy busy for you. So what's your kind of approach when you're just not having a lot of time to get to the bench?
Well, kind of like what what John was saying. I don't know, I just not really force, but just like make sure I set enough time to just like come down and do something. I mean, I work two jobs, so the second job is, by choice. It's not, I work two jobs because I have to. And it keeps me out of the house until normally 8:30, 8:45 on two nights a week. So I get home like it's pretty late, and those nights, yeah, I don't typically go downstairs to hit the bench. I will every once in a while, like I did last week. I think on Wednesday, but yeah, yeah, it's hard. It is hard, and like you said, I've got two teenagers. Luckily, one of them drives, so my wife and I are a little less busy ferrying them around like taxi drivers, because now we just make the older one do it if we're predisposed. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It is really hard, but like JB was saying, I feel like I kind of have to. Like even when I was over the summer, I was working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, an hour plus from my house. So I was not home very often. I saw the people I worked with more than I saw my own family. But even then, over the summer, I would typically try to find, because I was like peak, like I need to finish this for SMC time. Um, I just would come down for 20 minutes just to do something, put one thing together, poke one thing. When I got to painting, paint one thing, anything, or even just come down here and sit at my bench and look at all the stuff that I have, just to make me feel better, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great perspective. That was going to kind of be my answer. In the run up to SMC, I was really just like, okay, I've got to get down here every day. It might be for 5 minutes. That's it. That's all I can give, but I've got to get down here every day. And sometimes those 5 minutes turned into an hour or 3 hours or 5 hours, Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it was just 5 minutes, but I really like that perspective as well. And I've kind of in that place, not to the extent maybe what that, JB is, but I'm sort of in that place right now. And, I've been doing a little bit of cleaning. I've been pulling kits from the shelf of opportunity. We're getting back to that. And opening the box and taking a look and everything. But yeah, for me, my strategy is, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So get down there, make 5 minutes, make 10 minutes, and see what happens. So anyway, well, Sam, what's your perspective here? What are your tips and strategies when life keeps getting in the way and keeps locking you out of your model room?
Yeah, building on what JB and TJ have just said, yeah, just compartmentalize time if you can, and maybe set little goals, that sort of stuff, to try and get something done if you can. And I find myself, if I'm not building something, I spend lots and lots and lots and lots of time planning and researching stuff. So and down rabbit holes, and then often leads to B&A orders or buying stuff. But yeah, I tend to spend a lot of time planning things and looking into how I can further research stuff to get better at knowing what model stuff I need to build. But I sort of almost the opposite is I find myself pushing back and trying to keep in perspective that it's a hobby, and that if you can't sort of spend a lot of time building and doing stuff, don't force it. Actually just go the other way, and if it's not working, don't just stop. It's not a job. Yeah.
Kind of let it come to you a little bit, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then when the flow hits you, like JB had with his French truck, it just everything lines up, and it works, and then you can achieve much more than you thought you were going to be able to in that time frame. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good perspective. What about you, Grant?
I guess I'm the same way with like most of you. I'm like Sam. Like I'm like you. I find a lot of research kind of that into the problem, what I want to build. It does end up on not B&A right now, but it ends up on Screw Brothers bill, orders and stuff like that. But I am lucky enough to have a job. I do work a lot of hours. I'm averaging about 60 hours a week right now. But my boss, I work for a think tank here in Los Angeles. My boss is a photographer, artist, all that kind of stuff. He used to run ILM. He used to run ILM. He used to run Imagineering for Disney. So he's really into hobbies and doing what you want. So he lets me put a desk in my office. So I do have a desk in my office. I can do a little bit of work during my lunchtime. So if I get a little out of whack, I get too much math in my head, I'll just go work on something at my table. So I am lucky that way. But I feel that at home, I try and take, like you did, Scott, I try and take 15 minutes a day, no matter if it's early in the morning or it's late at night, just to sit down at my desk. I might not work on anything. I might just sit there and look at stuff, or I might practice painting something, or I might be cleaning something for a model. But I find that's the best way that I can stay motivated. And when it does hit, that Mojo hit like for JB did, you're ready for it. You know where everything's at. You're ready to go. So that's how I kind of handle it.
You know, you bring up Sam mentioned earlier muscle memory when it comes to painting, and how you don't exercise that muscle. It's a struggle to kind of get back into it. And I think that, you know, that's what I found is, you know, sometimes just whether it's a slammer or you know, whether it's something out of the blue like JB's van, I think there's value in maybe not even working on a core project, but grabbing something and practicing some airbrushing or practicing gluing some things together, whatever that it is, throwing something on the 3D printer and printing it out and, you know, working with it. I think there's some value in that. Before I let you go, Grant, though, I want to, you know, selfishly, you know, I kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode, you know, sort of I'm in the black hole between a big project and then sort of picking up one of, you know, 8 different things I'm thinking about. So what do you do in that dwell period to kind of help you pick that next project? You know, what are some tips you could give to me to say, this is how you can do this to pick what's going to be on the bench next?
What I do, and I hope it would work for you, is open a book and look for an image, or go on the internet and look for an image you like of the products you'd want to do. There's 1,000 books out there. The Forgotten Archives for Armor Builders. There's 3 books of those, are fantastic books. You could just look at those all day. There's the books on Berlin, the Berlin books. There's a new book. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it's on the entire battle of the bridge too far, Arnhem, specifically Arnhem Bridge battles. Images I've never seen before, pictures of stuff I've never seen that were there that I didn't know were there. Stuff like that, Scott.
Those forgotten archive books. There's literally every single page is a project. You'd start tomorrow. They're inspirational. They're amazing books. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're amazing books. I mean, the what you can see in those, Panzers in the Mist series are another good books that you can pick up and just look at. If you're into sci-fi, you can't go wrong with getting some of the sketchbooks from Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica, seeing some of the stuff that like Ralph McQuarrie or Joe Johnston did for Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica. Those kind of things just kind of drive you to find out what you want, and they'll help you in the long run. And there's something to be said for just sitting in front of YouTube when you have time and looking at videos of people building stuff. I didn't think I'd ever want to build a Jackson, but then I saw Sam's and what he did to all his stuff. And, I've got one sitting here now. And, and stuff like that. There's, if you look at figure painters or car builders or ship builders or whatever it is, it just find the subject you like and then just start looking for images. And then for me, that helps me get my mojo back into want to building stuff. So that's what I would recommend.
I wrote that down. I appreciate it. I'm going to check out those books. I'm going to quickly kind of circle back around. Sam, any advice on this, trying to get that next project in addition to what Grant's already said?
It's how do you bottle that inspiration? How do you it just comes to you? And it could be an image somewhere, or I want to order one of those French trucks now. I've seen JB's one. Like, if you're someone else building it, and it's like, well, that's me. I need that. So, the Trabant more is my bag. I think, I want to do a roached out Trabant with all different, coloured panels on it and that sort of stuff. So yeah, or build one as a frog. Yeah, I just it's hard to know where that inspiration for something sort of lands. We were lucky last weekend when we were in Canberra. We got to go through the so the Australian War Memorial is our big war museum, I guess, memorial in Canberra, which is incredible. And they've got an off-site storage wing which we were able to get access to on the Friday, and we were guided tour through there. And I mental taking photos, and there's just so much inspiration there, so many projects, from our Australia's first aircraft that we purchased pre World War One. It's in storage there, and it's like a bag of string and twigs. It's ridiculous, but right up to an F-18 Hornet that's in the storage wing. So it's everything they've got there. So there's so many photos of things, and World War One artillery pieces all of a sudden have sparked an interest. So it's stuff there that's in original paint, original camo still from the First World War.
So go with 12 of your friends to Europe and visit a bunch of amazing museums. Sounds like a good strategy that I can relate to. TJ, what advice do you have for me, man?
I mean, I don't have anything to add, honestly. I was going to essentially just say what Sam said.
I thought you were going to say, just quit being a wuss and get to your bench, man.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's sure, that is part of it. Just, but no, I don't have anything insightful to add to what Sam's already said.
Well, it's been a good discussion for sure. JB, any last kind of parting thoughts on this?
No, I think you just have to be deliberate about it, because something else will always be in the way of going to the bench. I guess you just need to make the choice and just do it, and those other things will always be there. So get to your bench, do some building.
Will do. I appreciate you guys. It's a great discussion, and something that has been good for me to hear. Listeners out there, what are your thoughts on this? Do you guys struggle to get to your bench? Does a job and life get in the way? Undoubtedly, I know it does. But what are some of your strategies? Share those on the group with us, or you can message us. And then, what do you use as kind of motivation for your next project? And share that in the group. And, maybe you can help one of us to kind of break out of a funk that we're in. So anyway, appreciate it, everybody. Well, I think that's about it for episode 127. I want to thank Sam for getting up in all hours of the night to join a bunch of us and have some great discussions. And same thing for my co-hosts. I want to thank once again Tankcraft, Micro World Games, AK Interactive, Bases by Bill, Tamiya USA, and of course our Patreon supporters for everything you do. Really appreciate you helping take care of the cost of doing this show. But we love what we do. We love scale modeling, and it's great to get together and talk about challenges that we have. So we will see everybody in a couple of weeks, and in the meantime, everybody get to your bench and hopefully get some work done. Take care. One of the ways that you can help to support the Plastic Posse is to become a Plastic Posse Outrider. And if you want to become an Outrider, it's really easy. You can even do it wearing some of that incredible merch that Jensen talks about. If you want to get involved, just go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast. You can set up a recurring donation there that starts at just $1 a month. These contributions will help offset the cost of bringing you the posse and support merch and donations to model shows and lots of other great things in the hobby. There's 3 different tiers of support. As I mentioned, there's great benefits to being an Outrider. You get early access to podcasts. You get premium access to the host, the chance to appear on one of our podcasts, and exclusive Triple P content and social events at model shows.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These loyal contributors support what the posse does, and we genuinely appreciate it. Pat Brown, Ryan Smith, Alamo Squadron, Model Fiesta, Curtis Towers, Winston Gold, The Quiet Corner Modeler, Daryl Miller, Rob Booth, David Clark, Richard Lane, Robbie Knopfs, Wesley Beaker, Eric DeGleesh, David Wassel, Matt Tupman, Zach Pease, Brett Marquette, Greg Williams, Nick Wolf, Brian Clark, Sean Earl, Black Hat Scale Modelers, Craig Jarbo, Red Beach One Studios, James Mirando, Mike Norris, Steve Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Eric Cavino, John Hale, Eric Kane, Logan Hansen, Tim Gidgum, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Ken Childress, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perrone, Jeremy Diamond, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Kalis, Ethan Idemill, Steve Baker, Pat Brown, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Lee Fogel, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Toadman, Model Doc, Doug Reed, Greg James, Wes Recall, John Everett, Uncle Buck, Mark Bradley, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studios, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Talley, Previous Seat, Mediocre Rage Middle-Aged Modeler, Dan Knopfel, and J.C. Osborne.
Let's not forget the posse foreman, this crew made up of posse outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand. We also thank them for their support. The voice of Bob, Graham, Keith, Dwayne, A.K. Farmer, Bill, Casey, Theresa, Raphael, Russ, Stephen, Kel, LeVar, Gil, Mike, Michael, Steve, Scott, Emery, The Krieger, Ozzy Modeler, William, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, Warhoff Models, G. Baker, Tom Stuff, Crazy Loca, Len, Cliff, Damon, Cody, Nukeman Mike, Paul, iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Joel, Chris, Jamie, MD Models, Papa Steve Munsell, JV, Eric, Matthew, and David. And, of course, our $1 and free posse outriders. Thanks, guys.